Hi, my Stampin' friends. This is Amanda. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Michigan. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for spending a few moments of your day with me. Today I'm going to play along with the Global Design Project Sketch Challenge, and that was the sketch. I wanted to do some ink blending for this sketch. I think you could do some DSP or maybe some elements. I did see someone do some rolling pins, so, fun things. If you ever need something to do and need an idea to jump off on, that's always fun to do the Global Design Project. So I cut a piece of scrap cardstock that was just, Walmart cardstock by 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, which are my panels of 5x7 cards because I make 5x7 cards. And then I drew it on some grid paper. I didn't really care how long the strips were, but I knew I wanted to do some white and some colored. So I counted all the little boxes, and there were 27 boxes, and then that was perfect because I know 9 divided by 3, or 9 times 3 is 27. And then I could do colored white stripes. And there were 3 little squares in between there. When I cut this down, I realized that each square in this particular graph paper is 1/4 inch. I don't know if that's universal, but so I was able to make 9 3/4 inch stripes. 4 of them were going to be white, and 5 of them were going to be blended rainbow color. I was really excited. The first thing I did was I took a piece of basic white and I took off a panel that I could use for later, tomorrow or the next day. And I cut that at 3/4 inch. And whatever was left, I'm sorry I didn't measure it, but whatever is left, I used for this. Next, I took my grid tracing and my plan or whatever, and I cut that out really carefully so that everything was perfectly perfect. I took that piece of junk cardstock and I put it on top of the basic white sheet that I was going to do blending on, and I put it in the middle. Then I took some purple tape, and my purple tape is a 1/2 inch wide, and I marked a starting point and an ending point of my cardstock so that I would know where to start and where to stop, and there would be some room. You know what I mean? It was in the middle of my paper, so there was going to be some room. As I said, my purple tape is a 1/2 inch. I called my husband to look at Home Depot to see if there was 3/4 inch painter's tape. There wasn't. I couldn't find any washi tape that was 3/4 inch. So I had to use 2 pieces per stripe. And this is how I did it. I put my little grid sheet down. I lined it up, my purple tape, and then I took it away and pushed it down. I hope that makes sense. Again, here I'll do it. So I use a long piece of purple tape. I go above my cardstock on my glass media mat, hold it to where it's going to line up all the way down, remove my my grid paper, and push down the purple tape right there. I repeat this process for all 9 stripes. I mean 5 stripes, however many stripes I don't show. I don't need to show. But this is the only way I could think of doing it. If you guys have a better way, let me know. If I had 3/4 inch tape, I still would have done this. Now, the purple tape did have a little bit of problem on my paper. It did come up a little bit. So I probably would have these, made it a little bit less tacky. If I do this again, I would make it a little bit less tacky. Now, my last little stripe here is like 1/8 inch too big, and I knew that, so I cut down a 3/4 inch piece off of that junky cardstock, and I just went through. I'm like, oh, look at this! I did pretty good, but right there. So I went back and forth to make sure that, look, these are all perfect except for this last one, 1/8 inch, a 1/16 inch, something. So I just went back and made the stripe where I needed to, and then didn't make it perfectly straight, but I used this 3/4 inch to butt that up. You could also do that. You could also cut the 3/4 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, however many stripes there are. You could do 3/4 inch. and, put in between it. But I liked my grid idea. That's how my brain works. So then I used Polished Pink and Blushing Bride to put some pink down. I wanted to do a rainbow, but I didn't want to do each stripe a rainbow. I wanted to make it very beautiful and very large, and the background being a rainbow, a blended rainbow that just had some stripes in it. Then I used Pumpkin Pie, and I went all the way over to the third stripe. And I don't know if this is a mistake, but it only left 2 for the green and blue and purple. So then I come back and I add my Polished Pink over where my Pumpkin Pie and my Polished Pink meet so that I could get a good blend. Now, when I went from a lighter, like this is Mango Melody, I tried to get off the Pumpkin Pie on a microfiber cloth, and it did work, but there is no reason to do Mango Melody in this. I mean, the Pumpkin Pie is beautiful. Next, I used some crushed curry to fill in the last bit of it. So I have some pink and some orange and yellow, all in my first 3 colors, first 3 stripes. Like I said, I then take Granny Apple Green, and it gets way too dark. And I don't know how this happened. Maybe I have a little bit of dark green on my brush to begin with, but that doesn't bother me. I could have wiped it down, but I normally use Granny Apple Green, so I just assumed that's what it was. I do have a light green brush, so maybe I'll just start using my Granny Apple Green and my soft sea foam for the light brush. But Granny Apple Green is kind of... Anyways, sorry. Then I go with some Bermuda Bay, and it's still looking really green to me. So I try some Pacific Point, and it gets dark here. Way too dark. I think when it all dries, it's okay, but this gets pretty dark. I wish I would have done it a little bit differently. Maybe used a lighter hand on my green and my maybe Calypso or Coastal Cabana instead of Bermuda Bay, but it is what it is. I finished up with Gorgeous Grape, and then to brighten it up, I used a little bit of fresh freesia. I'll put all of my supplies away. I had a really good time. This was fun. I enjoyed it. This made me smile. And then I'll use my microfiber cloth to make sure that there's no ink on top of my tape. So when I take it off, I don't have smudges everywhere. It did come up okay. I took the tape and pulled it back upon itself, so that worked out really well. Then I'll take my trimmer here and just cut down my panel. And I somehow cut my Polished Pink area a little bit wonky, so I had to go back and cut just 1/8 of an inch off that side, and then I had to cut 1/8 of an inch off the long way as well. Then I cut a piece of basic black 3/4 of an inch. I'm sorry, 4 3/4 of an inch by 6 3/4 of an inch, because I cut that 1/8 of an inch down on each side. Next, I'm going to cut myself a basic white 5x7 card base. So I just take off 1 inch and 1.5 inches on the sides and score it by 5, and there we go. So here I'm going, okay, so it just has a greeting, but I want to do something else. Now at first, do you see those little flowers up there? I decide, well, maybe I'll do those little flowers because there's a big flower and there's a small flower in this Delicate Delilah. So this Delicate Delilah is a free product during celebration. If you spend $100, you get this awesome set. This is a distinctive ink set. So I'm like, oh my gosh, since I ink blended, I am definitely ink blending this flower. So crushed curry and Polished Pink, and then on the outside, I did some pumpkin pie. Huffed on it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Uh-oh. Okay, so I did it a few more times, and I'm like, uh-oh, maybe I just have a defective stamp. But then I inked it up just in Polished Pink, and it looks like a photograph. Here we go. Perfect. So you cannot use ink daubers, apparently, and blend on distinctive ink, which is a bummer, but I guess I should have known that. So then I used the Strong of Heart. It's really pretty. It gets a little lost. I might have done this in black, but I did ink this up in some copper. Looking at it now, I might have done some black because after I heat set this, it gets kind of lost. Let me know what you think. I put on my panel backwards, upside down, and so my heart was the wrong way. So I had to tear it off. Luckily, I used glue. I used a Tembo Mono glue. So luckily I was able to heat that up on the back and then pull it up and nothing was damaged. So I added some fun foam on the back of it so it would give it a lifted appearance. And I really like that. I like the lifted appearance all over your first panel being lifted. I really like that. So as you can see, my heart gets a little bit, it's a little bit lost, but I'm going to add a sentiment and maybe that helps. That was an adhesive eraser and I had a little bit of Tombow Mono on my hand, so it got all over and I just erased everything. And the adhesive eraser is a really good tool. If you don't have one, you might think one of those. So the Shaded Summer, which also has some dies in the celebration. Again, the dies, celebration's coming, everyone. It's really exciting. I love celebration. Free things always makes my heart go pitty patter. But there's a sentiment that says, love you, friend. I thought that would be perfect with this heart. And this heart's beautiful. And in the catalog, it has a beautiful, beautiful card that I'm definitely going to case. But of course, I have to make it up into my 5x7. So I'll show you how I do that. And that's my card. I think it's pretty easy. And I wish I would have done it, so the rainbow was the proper way. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below what you think. I'd love it if you subscribed. Again, I know I've said this a lot, but I'd really like to get to that 1,000 before the end of August. I don't know if that's a possibility, but you could help by subscribing. Thanks so much, friends. Have a great day.